Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third edition of the Lean Stream. This is the Lean Company's look into the latest trends in marketing, advertising, innovation, technology, and sustainability. In this session, we'll be looking at what is currently the hot topic in the world of advertising, business, and technology, and that is the metaverse. In order to do this, we've assembled a cast of international thought leaders who can help shed some light on this incredible emerging medium, the opportunities it presents and how marketers can engage with and start to develop initiatives around the metaverse. We've got speakers from Vogue talking about their foray into the world of NFTs. We've got Epic Games, who will talk about some of the amazing Fortnite brand collaborations that have taken place recently. We've got someone from Hotplay, which is a NASDAQ-listed in-game advertising platform. We've got one of Denso's leading brains when it comes to all things metaverse. And finally, we have a really cool startup from Israel, Tetavi, that recently did a project which allowed the president of Israel to give an annual speech direct from the inside of people's homes as a hologram. How cool is that? Remember, if you'd like to ask a question of any of our speakers today, you can do so by hitting the little Q&A button in our Zoom screen. We'll try to answer any good questions as we go along or at the end. Okay, buckle up. But before we get kicked off, let's start with a quick poll for the audience. So here's a poll. You should see it on your screen now. The question is, how ready is your company for doing business in the metaverse? How ready is your company for doing business in the metaverse? Well, just as I thought, the majority of answers are in the not ready at all. That's why I'm tuning into this webinar. That's 69% of the vote. You can have a look now. So yeah, everybody here, apart from a few experts, are really looking to learn about how to do business in the metaverse. So it's great that for that reason, we have a load of speakers here for you to help you out. So we've got Michael, Pimsai, and Dean. Thank you all guys for joining us. Please do unmute and let's have an introduction. Why don't we start with Michael? Would you just introduce yourself for our audience, please?
Sure. Hi, Mark. Very nice to meet everyone else. My name is Michael. I'm the founder and shareholder of Media Publishers, which is a digitally focused publishing company. We publish print and digital magazines in Singapore, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines. And some of our anchor brands include famous publications such as Vogue, Esquire, Robb Report, and Bureau. Quite recently, we have launched our own NFT platform called brighthole.com, which consists of 3 verticals: editorial, marketplace, and 3D galleries.
Fabulous. Okay, looking forward to hearing a lot more about that. Pimsai, why don't you tell us who you are? And
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Pimsai. I'm joining in from Thailand, from Bangkok. I'm a Chief Commercial Officer at Hotplay. So Hotplay is an in-game advertising platform that connects advertisers with players through native ads and in-game reward.
Brilliant. Okay, Dean, why don't you tell us where you're from and what you do?
Sure. So I'm with Epic Games. We make Fortnite, which I think is probably what most people know Epic Games for. But we also make Unreal Engine, which is what actually makes Fortnite run. And we license out Unreal Engine for, I think, around 45% of all newly announced titles for PS5 and Xbox Series. And we also use it for a lot of enterprise use cases for automotive architecture, making films like Mandalorian and a lot of other really, really fun non-gaming stuff as well. So we cover plenty of areas there. My general role is helping people that are making cool stuff with Unreal.
Helping people making cool stuff with what?
Unreal.
Okay, fabulous. Right, cool. Well, let's start with the first question. It's an easy one. It's for those 69% of the people here who don't really know much about the metaverse yet. So I want you each, you've got a minute each to define the metaverse, how you see it. So why don't we start with Michael again, a minute to define the metaverse.
For me, it is a new technical platform and space where I can tell stories and distribute my content. It's an exciting new space, a new world, so to say, where we want to be part of this first kind of exploring group of businesses and industries that will set the rules of future engagements and how the metaverse will work and what rules will be applied.
Fabulous. Okay, Pimsai.
I think there are many definitions of metaverse, and probably the reason is that it can be many things. I personally think metaverse is the extension of our life. So today we already use internet as a medium or tool to interact, transact, and conduct activities. But there is a clear boundary between digital and physical world. But with 3D, metaverse, Web3, that enable us to transfer value, not only information, I think we will be practically living in the metaverse. And we will have an avatar or avatars that represent digital version of us. Part of our work, leisure, and socialization will happen in the metaverse.
Brilliant. Okay. And Dean, over to you.
So from our side, we kind of picture it as a shared social 3D world, but important parts of it are persistence, discovery, moderation, and I think most importantly, commerce. Because if we're going to start transitioning into these sort of systems, it needs to support a robust global sort of commerce system, similar to what we have with a standard internet at the moment. Looking at what we can do in there, collaborative experiences like we already run with large virtual concerts and things in Fortnite with millions of players, but having the tools to work within mixed reality and real time through like Twinmotion, Unreal, MetaHuman Creator examples.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Well, let's stick with you, Dean, for our next question, which is obviously this webinar today is to talk about the commercial side of this and how brands can get involved in this new medium. So the question is, you know, for the brands that are on this webinar who don't yet have a plan or really know what they should be doing, what should they do if they want to stake their claim in the space?
Yeah, I guess staking your claim is an interesting one, because the first step kind of comes into figuring out what the metaverse is and what you want to achieve from it, in the same way that 10 years ago, everyone said we need an iPhone app for our company. But a lot of people then didn't think about why they needed an iPhone app, what they wanted to achieve with it, and what was going to be the long-term sort of goals and how to update and everything else there. So making sure to come into it with like a lot of research, understanding what the different avenues are, whether it's something in the existing metaverse space like Fortnite or Roblox, for instance, looking at what ways you can come into there, and then also looking at what ways current people that have already started staking their claim, so to speak, brands like Balenciaga and Ferrari and Nike that have been already doing very interesting stuff within this space. So I think to get into it, the first step is to do some research and start figuring out what you want to achieve from it and what the best avenues are. Very much the same when it came to making a website or a mobile app.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so I think the infinite nature of it is something that we're all going to have to get to grips with.
Yeah.
So all right, Michael, what do you think to that question?
Well, I would rather probably use an example of what we have done to showcase some of the opportunities that the metaverse offers. We teamed up with Balmain, which is one of the cool, forward-thinking, tech-oriented fashion brands, and Olivier Rousteng, the creative director, in marking his 10-year anniversary at the company, decided to create a virtual-only asset for a fashion brand. And what he did in collaboration with one of our magazines, with Vogue Singapore, was to create a flame dress, an animated digital asset of a dress that he designed and created specifically to NFT, to tokenize it. And it was then sold on Binance as an NFT, and had several added components to it. It had an authenticity certificate attached to it, two sketches, real life sketches, so tangible sketches that were done personally by Olivier Rousteing, and a digital fitting for the person who would buy the NFT. So this flame dress would then be used by this person to wear, superimpose in social media platforms and for his or her avatar. And that is only one possibility of exploring your company's opportunities in this new space.
Wow, I still can't get to grips with it myself. But yeah, does anyone, out of interest, does anyone on this panel own digital clothing?
In Fortnite, yes.
Okay, fair. So that's a yes, yeah. Obviously not Michael and Pimsai. Pimsai, what do you think to that question?
Well, I think today many people are experiencing metaverse like by using games as a platform. So, like avatar, we express our identity with fashion, we socialize, we host events. And I think, I come across Newzoo report. Half of Gen Z claim to use game to socialize without playing the main game. So basically, it's a natural, shift for them to hang out and be within the game. And I think metaverse we will definitely draw massive audience across generation and create real opportunity for brands. We talk about fashion, how we express our identity, and I think there are any brand that can integrate and expand within the metaverse. So brand need to strategize how to be present in the virtual environment and how to tailor meaningful engagement with the audience. So some of the example that we do as an entry point with in-game advertising. So in-game product placement or native ad, like a branded object that are non-intrusive and blended with the game environment. This can be one of the easy example, right, that we can try and experiment today. And it can be later on be minted into NFT, can be trade and exchange. And for product discovery can be gamified, either standalone pop-up games or in a form of sponsor quest within the metaverse. So brands can incentivize the engagement with rewards like tokens, branded NFT items, or coupons that can be used in the real life. So I think the opportunity is limitless and it's quite interesting, exciting, and fun for brands.
I think what you're saying is you're offering brands an easy way in. So if brands want to advertise in game, talk to Pimsai after this webinar. Right. Okay. Thank you. So Michael, we've touched about luxury brand, which is obviously your bread and butter. Tell us, you made news recently in Singapore with these NFT covers, the Vogue covers. Tell us a bit about that and how that project came about and how it's currently going.
Sorry, was muted. Sure. So it came about because Anna Wintour, the very well-known editor-in-chief of Vogue USA, decided to have all 27 international editions of Vogue worldwide to follow one global theme for the September cover, and that was new beginnings, to mark the coming out of lockdowns for many countries and parts of the world. So the Singapore team decided to focus on this new space of metaverse that also stands and represents a new beginning. And we came up with, sorry guys, there's a, okay. Mark, maybe someone else can answer. I have someone ringing at the door. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no problem. It does happen. It wouldn't happen in the metaverse. But all right. So, all right. Well, look, Dean, I want to talk. I follow the usual suspects on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, but yesterday it might have been Jack Dorsey, and it might have been someone else. Said something along the lines of, there's an NFT frenzy. Michael, you might not like this question, but there's an NFT frenzy going on this year. And he said 99% of the NFTs that people buy this year will prove to be worthless. 1% will be fabulous, but 99%, because there's such a frenzy and because it's such an infinite medium, will be worthless. So Dean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really big risk in this space. And for me personally, I think NFTs are great because I've worked for years with artists trying to help them create pieces that they can actually make a business of. And the art world is tough for an artist to make a business on because it's not them that actually profits from it. So NFTs are a great idea that the artist can continue to make revenue streams from what they've done. Unfortunately, with what has happened with NFTs, there will be far too many that will flood the market and it will lose its value. And then hopefully we'll see it kind of come back in the same way that Bitcoin has, where we had a very large crash with all the cryptocurrencies a few years ago, where things went from going up thousands of % in a day to crumbling down to complete zero. And I think we will unfortunately see a lot of that. So I think the main thing to remember is that at the moment, all of this is really the Wild West when it comes to cryptocurrencies and NFTs. And it's not generating money for people, it's actually taking it from somebody else. If somebody is buying it from you and then it's their money that's buying the asset, it's not generating value. So really finding the right ways for cryptocurrencies, NFTs and things to work well, benefit as a system and become something that can be more stable and traded like a standard fiat currency or make a living off of, I think we're a fair way off of that, but hopefully we'll get there because it's a great technology that it's leading towards. Okay,
so Michael, sorry to throw you a bit of a curveball there, but I really did want to ask that question. And yeah, what do you think like about this fact that, obviously with Vogue, there's a flight to quality there, or you could describe it like that, but tell us a bit more about the NFTs from your perspective and how it might develop.
Well, obviously we started our exploration of this space with Vogue being such an iconic brand worldwide and having a huge amount of awareness even for the crypto and the metaverse crowd. And naturally, we always have to ask ourselves, where is the value going to come from? And is there utility to an NFT? Is there scarcity and what other qualities do NFTs pose? And I'm not a tech person, but I can clearly say that there are a lot of use options that will still be explored by the NFTs and the technology itself. However, you already see that proof of authenticity, IP rights, copyrights, etc., are an area that is close to what we do, and definitely NFTs will be applied to this space and help in many ways. For us, saying about or speaking about the value of the NFTs, we are focusing on curated premium NFTs, which in what they represent have value because of the collaborating artists, brands, the high level of curation that we invest, and the scarcity of these NFTs. I can give you one example of what we are currently preparing, and that is a hybrid NFT, a so-called phygital project, whereby an NFT has a physical component. One of the first drops that we are preparing for Brighthall is a collaboration with Specialized, which is, for those of you who are into cycling, it's the Rolls Royce of bicycles. So we teamed up with Specialized and a very well-known Japanese monk who is an artist himself, and he works with oxidizing copper pigments. And he took a Specialized bike into all its parts, covered all the parts with his paint, and it became a living art piece, because every day, because of the oxidation process, it changes, right? And we are now doing this drop, preparing this drop of the Specialized NFT that has a physical component, and proceeds will be donated for a good cause.
That's incredible, frankly. That was really good. And also, I just want to say that we have had a question from the floor, which you basically answered. Which one of the questions, we've got some good questions here. One of them is, how can the value of virtual items in the metaverse even be measured? Well, you kind of answered some of that there, so thank you. Before we move on, Pimsai, have you got anything to add to the NFT question?
I think, we will discover more utility or use cases of the NFT. I think right now, the majority is very much on the collectible. There's starting to be use case where it's mapped between, the virtual and the real world use cases, right? And the technology is there with the smart contract, so it can, be represent or linked to an asset in the real world, like real estate or, any item or any goods, right? So I'm sure that we will discover more and more the use case of the NFT.
Sorry. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. So let's move on a little bit. This is Dean. This is right in your wheelhouse. Well, I guess it's Pimsai's as well. The last event we did, we had a guy from VMLY&R talking about the Wendy's Fortnite collaboration, where the burger chain Wendy's came into Fortnite, and because none of their burgers are frozen, or that's their kind of USP, they encourage players to go around smashing up refrigerators in Fortnite, which is very clever. So I really want, and one of the reasons we want you on this webinar is for you to tell us a bit about those collaborations that brands are doing in the likes of Fortnite, Animal Crossing, Roblox. So tell us a bit about maybe the most innovative campaigns and what you've seen from that, and how you think brands can benefit from those.
Yeah, I think it's really tough to pick the most innovative, but I think you called out a pretty good one there. And kind of the point that we make is, like, we still do need to run a business, so we have to get revenue and things here and there, but we never want to go out and do the Facebook and Google model of track people for their data and spam them with advertising. We kind of feel that level of marketing is dead. And we're proving it out with Fortnite, that you can have a very effective business while at the same time creating content that people actually enjoy and engage with, not because they're forced to, because they need to wait 5 seconds before they can do something. It's there and given as an experience that they want to participate in. They find it exciting, then they'll go on social and share about it, and they'll get involved. So the Wendy's one is a great little fun example where people play the game as normal, get a bit of an extra experience out of it while still getting the branding and marketing that you need. But when someone has a good experience with a brand, they'll remember it a lot longer than if it's just been, here's a pop-up ad. That disappears pretty quickly. So having them, even if it is an ad within a game that is part of the world, those sort of banner ads and things are much more effective because it's not taking you away from the experience. It's part of it. And even in some like racing games, for example, the game feels wrong if you don't see the advertising there because you're trying to match what's in the real world and people recognize that. So I think for me, some of the greatest collaborations we've done have been with the car companies, because we actually also have Rocket League as well, where we have really great collabs with car companies there. But bringing in brands like Ferrari into Fortnite, which most people, if you've ever worked on anything Ferrari or high-end automotive related, they don't like you touching their brand or showing anything, and they especially don't like you shooting and blowing up their cars. So this was kind of the dream collab where something that I never thought would ever happen brings this realistic Ferrari into the game. And this works really well because when companies like Ferrari are already using Unreal Engine in different parts of their business, and a lot of automakers are using Unreal to design their cars, do like virtual reality collaborative review sessions, running it inside the dashboard of the vehicle, it's really changing how you can do that. And then being able to bring those kind of experiences into the car further on as the metaverse kind of expands its tendrils out a little bit more, we'll see a lot more of these kind of interesting collabs as we see new ways to like give people interesting experiences rather than just try and straight away sell them a product.
Mm.
Fair enough. I think, yeah, maybe Pimsai, you could add to that.
Yeah, I think, the key, the two things that I, capture from what Dean's sharing is, one is a collaboration. I think, there are a lot of potential in terms of collaboration between brand and sort of a cross-pollination with a different experience, right? And I think the beauty of Metaverse is that it's offer the, it push the boundary of creativity. It's offer the experiences that unthinkable in real life. And, when you have this immersive experience, like in the game and, to interact with brands, I think it's very exciting, and you can have a lot of, interesting engagement with the audience. Thinking about Fortnite, I think it's not the promotion campaign per se, but I really like Travis Scott virtual concert happened last year, because when you look at the number of unique visitors that watching and all the experience, I think this is a real showcase for the entertainment experience of the future.
Wow. Okay. Michael, do you want to add something there?
Well, I mean, we are not in the gaming industry, but we understand that some of the NFT projects that we also did required, at least an element of gamification to stimulate collectors to buy NFTs. Yeah, we realize that this audience consists of a lot of people who like the gaming aspect of NFTs and therefore react well to gamification, and we try to integrate that as well. I mean, think of some of the fashion brands who have gone down that route with Burberry, for example, and others. Therefore, games are definitely one very obvious area where NFTs in the future will have the utility that many people want to see in NFTs, and that will preserve their value as one of the examples.
Okay, let's go back to Dean quickly. I'm not sure if I want you to go into the technicalities, and we keep talking about what can brands do, but if brands are keen to collaborate with a game, for example, what are there any technical things they need to be aware of, or how does that collaboration start if they come to you, or yeah, can you tell us a bit about how that works?
That is a good place to start. Come to me, and then we'll see. Because at the moment, the metaverse is not quite there yet. It is this slightly closed in kind of ecosystem where you can say, yep, I want to do something in Fortnite, or I want to do it in Rocket League, or I want to do it in Roblox. and you talk to the people that make that. Long term, we're like really pushing on open standards. And this is where like creating Unreal and making tools that are easy for people to build on the metaverse and do everything that they need to on their own. At the moment, easiest way, come to me and we'll sort it out.
Cool. Okay, Pim side, do you want to say anything on that?
On the technical part of advertising in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Those are questions. I think, in what we do today as an in-game advertising platform at Hotplay, so we have tools to integrate within the games. So the way we approach it is with the native ad that not intrusive and kind of like wrap around the object in the game. So we can help to start this experience, and we onboarding games to our platform. So our game portfolio is growing. So that can be something to try on. And another angle is about doing the promotion and campaigns in the games. So what we're trying to promote is to bridge between the virtual and the physical, right? So the reward coupons that you can get as achievement, it can be used in the real life. So I think depends on how we want to create this experience and engagement in the game or metaverse. But at least we have the starting point here. So yeah, so come to me if you want to try and experience how to do the campaign.
Okay, thank you. Right, so let's move on to another question, and then I think we've got about 5 minutes left. And there's a few questions that have come in from the audience. I want to try and answer one of them. But so one last question from me. The Facebook rebrand was, to my mind, met with quite a lot of cynicism, but it also opened up a huge amount suddenly from having the metaverse. The people in the know were aware of it, but suddenly now it's in the mainstream media. So that the cat's out of the bag. But so I think one of the things that people were concerned about is privacy issues, and that stemmed from Facebook or Meta's slightly checkered past. What advice would you give for brands, and let's start with Michael, that are concerned about this new frontier and how they can maintain control over their brand?
Well, I think that brands in our industry, the luxury industry, are only slowly waking up to this challenge, because a lot of activity has already been conducted in the space without the prior approval of any of the brands. Artists and creators have used well-known brands for their own projects without really asking anyone for permission. So this is definitely an issue, and it's like the early days of the internet, where people did a lot of things that they couldn't do offline, because everything is regulated, and regulation is something that's going to come to the metaverse as well. I mean, the community at the moment is probably a very open and decentralized one. I've never experienced so much openness to collaboration and to sharing, honestly. And of course, with big corporations entering the space, this probably will change. And I think Facebook is one of those big corporations that will have a huge impact on the metaverse. And now with all the criticism they are facing, I think that's going to be a huge challenge for them in that space too.
Okay, we do need to hurry a bit, but Dean, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, it really is a big risk. And this is why, from our side, we don't want your data and we don't care about it. That's the main story that we tell, and we really stick by it with what we do. And it's about creating fun, engaging experiences for people without needing to track everything they do, because it's your data, it's not ours. And we hope that Facebook starts going that route as well.
Great, that was perfect. Pimsai?
Yeah, I think, I agree with all I've said. I think brands have to be transparent in the approach too, right? Try to focus on partnering with the communities and create the experience and positive association, with the audience. So yeah, so I think the metaverse is generally a new platform, right? So it's offer plenty of room for experimentation, and the best practice haven't yet to be established. I think with the data is with us, and we can control and take our own identity data asset, from experience to experience. I think is have some, safeguard with the new technology. But then, yeah, I think it has to see how, it's evolved.
Okay, right. Here's a question. Here's a question that's slightly out there. It was the first question we got. I like it, but you don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have no idea how to answer this. But the question is: we talk about the metaverse as a new world, but are there regions, for example, without internet, that will be left behind? And how can we stop that happening? And I'll throw that open to anyone who wants to answer it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that does need to be looked at from a fully global perspective for sure. And we can be a bit slow going with a lot of things because we do look at the bigger picture like this, where we now support, I think, one of the most currencies possible with our sort of digital platform. And that's about enabling more people to come into it, where it might not be the most profitable approach, but we think it's the right approach to get as many people access to it as possible, and creating the tools that people can access without needing $10,000 computers to build something. And that's where cloud computing and everything else comes into play. So I think we'll start to see things open up a little bit more as the technology develops further.
Fabulous. Okay, guys, we've just got 1 minute. Do you each want to have a final word? Pimsai, do you want to sum up?
Yeah, I think, with metaverse, is unlock a lot of, possibilities, right? I think what we have said here is that we know that the technology is there, the fundamental bricks are there. So it's about, the how we're going to bring it forward in terms of key players, stakeholder communities. And I think in terms of brands, to definitely have to be part of it. It cannot be missed. And yeah, I mean, brand need to start thinking about how they're going to plan their digital journey, particularly how to be and coincide in the metaverse, and have this deep relationship built with the audience.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks. All right, Michael, final word to you.
I feel sometimes like it's a deja vu. I remember digital coming up, the internet, and this is again a stage where I can only encourage people to look at it, take it serious, try things now to understand the metaverse and the NFT business, for example. I don't think it's going to go away. It's going to evolve in ways we might not be able to forecast today, but it's definitely a space that is important for brands and for businesses to reach out to audiences, to potential customers, and especially to customers of the future, because it's mainly young people who are engaged in this space.
Fabulous. Right. Well, thank you, guys. That was really, really intriguing. I feel like we could have talked for hours. Thank you all so much for coming on. And yeah, thank you. And we'll speak to you all soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Right. So as we move on, we'll just go to another poll for the audience. So if you look at your screen now, the poll is: how much would the strength of a brand's digital presence influence your decision to buy from them? Okay, so it's fairly evenly spread between it's fairly evenly spread between a lot and a fair bit. So there we go. I'll just share the results with you. So that was brilliant. Great panel there. Yeah, now for the next section to talk a little bit more about different offerings that are available to brands who want to work in metaverse. We've got ExchangeWire's AdTech Personality of the Year, and that's Denso International's Chief Product Officer, Sunil Naryani. Sunil, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Excited to be here. Let me do a quick screen share, and then we can get straight into the exciting topic. Just a second. Hopefully you see the screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity. And hi, guys. I am Sunil Naryani. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Denso International. Many of you may not know, but I actually started my career as a computer engineer building games for the iOS Apple Store way back. And it's fascinating to see how gaming and the promise of the metaverse is now such a huge impact in marketing. Today, I'm going to share my thoughts on marketing in the metaverse. Clearly a very exciting topic, and also how we see it at Denso. So we're going to be covering a few topics, starting with what is the metaverse, how we believe gaming is the highway to it, and I'll share some examples of the way in which brands can actually start their journey into the metaverse, and finally end with an exciting case from Denso itself. So starting with, I mean, you may have heard of metaverse a lot. It's quite a lot in the news lately, and there are many definitions to it. But the way we like to define it is that it's kind of the future of all digital media and commerce. It is the successor to the internet as we know it today, but it's made up of many persistent shared spaces that are linked together into one universe that will be underpinned by interoperability, a fully functioning economy, and an open access to all. Or we've also tried to do some frameworking around it, and the way we see it as a 7P framework as well, which starts with plural. So a metaverse is built of multiple hybrid shared spaces that blend together the physical, digital, and the virtual realities. It is also very participatory. So essentially anyone can take part in it. The experiences are shaped and defined by the users themselves. So essentially the consumers are now becoming the creators at the same time. Moving on, you can feel the presence in the metaverse based on all the immersive experience it can offer. And it just makes you feel that you're as part of the experience in real. It's profound. And what do we mean by that is that it has limitless creativity in it, and with all the various immersive experiences that run through physical, cerebral, and visceral aspects that you can go through. Moving on, you can have a sense of position in a very decentralized ownership fashion where people can store wealth and easily transfer it as well. It is quite productive as well in terms of a fully functioning economy where people can create, sell, buy items, not just for cosmetic reasons, but it actually provides a lot of utility in the exchange. And finally, it's persistent. So what that means is that irrespective you are part of it today or not, it's still going to continue and evolve as you go, with or without your participation. So that's kind of the 7P framework in which we see the metaverse, and it's kind of a really exciting time, and we think that it's going to be a big disruptor as we go to the internet, not just for the next 10 years, but could be for the entire century as well. And there are a whole bunch of companies that are working hard to make it a reality, starting from hardware to making everything interchangeable, interoperable, through to the companies that are allowing us to create wonderful content and assets in the way we express ourselves, in this new world. So, I mean, moving on, why do we tend to believe that gaming is the highway to the metaverse, and then what I'm going to do is share a few examples that really make it real. Firstly, highlighting that during the pandemic, gaming provided kind of the test bed for metaverse. We saw a lot of examples where a lot of elements and aspects of the metaverse were brought to life. So talk about people getting married in Animal Crossing, of course, because they couldn't physically meet and do that, or 12.3 million tuning into a live concert by Travis Scott into Fortnite, or Gucci having a virtual presence in Roblox, where they actually started to sell their digital handbags at about $6 to $8, but it kind of resold at over $4,000, which is massive and kind of unbelievable, which talks about, again, the uniqueness of owning a new digital asset, in metaverse spaces like Roblox. And it's important to note here that this is not niche. We today have 87% of the internet playing games, which equates to about 3 billion gamers worldwide that could be reached in terms of, and also gaming in a lot of ways, as you know, is changing cultures, influencing cultures, starting from films or entertainment or music. I think it's all of the brands are now jumping on this to kind of make it a very, very big play in terms of what they could do in terms of newer ways to engage with consumers using gaming. A couple of good examples. Again, this is from Roblox, which is the first one is Netflix and Stranger Things. So what they did was actually they recreated the mall scenario in there, where you could roam around, hang out with friends, and buy all kinds of different costumes, like a hazmat suit or other things in there. Similarly, Vans did a fabulous job by creating something called as a Vans World. And there's my friend Dan trying to skate around and explore what the Vans World looks like. Again, quite an interesting experience to know the brand, and it also appeals to the audience. So, just moving on, what are the, obviously, I mean, gaming, as we see, does represent, the best opportunity for brands now for them to really start testing what their metaverse journey could be like. But there's a lot of other ways as well in which brands can dabble into this new world. And again, a few more examples to, kind of make this a reality or talk about some really good stuff that's happened is, this is a case from 2019 where Louis Vuitton actually collaborated with League of Legends, and they created these unique skins that all the people who had access to or who were playing League of Legends could kind of put on themselves in terms of buy these skins and put it on their avatars for about $10, which is big because what it did was Louis Vuitton was very quickly able to reach to this new hard to get audiences and very early establish themselves as kind of a luxury brand to start with. Some other examples are in the NFT space. Again, it's a very exciting space to start with. This is a quick ecosystem of how the things could work. It could be a little complicated, but a lot of things are evolving. Essentially, NFT or non-fungible token has a real intrinsic value because unlike virtual goods, you cannot interchange an NFT for exactly the same thing. So everybody may have heard of Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency. So you can exchange Bitcoin. So it's not really an NFT, but an NFT is a unique piece of, let's say, an art or a virtual land that you buy in some real estate metaverse, things like Decentraland, or it could be a unique fashion sneaker that you have, or it could be you want to have an NFT and own a historic piece of sporting news from the likes of NBA Top Shots, for example. So these are all they all take shapes of either a goods or a service, and they are typically traded on marketplaces like OpenSea or MetaMask. But underneath where they are minted are decentralized blockchain systems like Ethereum or Solana or Polygon. Again, a good example of an NFT case is from Coke. This happened recently during the Friendships Day, where they actually partnered with OpenSea and had like a loot box drop of an NFT, which carried a lot of interesting digital apparels and collectibles with the Coke brand imagery. And they were actually even able to raise $500,000 for charity, which is kind of a good cause, but a very lovely execution of what brands could do in terms of the NFT space. Next, moving on, brands could also be thinking about building their products ground up to fit this new journey. So this is a case from McLaren where they actually use the Unreal Engine to design the cars. And what they can absolutely easily do is, while these are designed for the real world scenario, they could take these designs and quickly push it into the games like Rocket League, where very early, again, the benefit of the brand is a new generation can know about the McLaren F70 570S and probably have a more likability towards the brand as they progress in their life. Again, a pretty interesting example is from Balenciaga, where they kind of operate with the likes of omni reality commerce, which is more from digital to physical, which offers consumers options to own a Balenciaga Fortnite hoodie in the digital world for a few dollars, and you could actually carry on and have and own a physical good in the real world, of course, which is been starting about $700 and plus. But the point is that you can kind of embellish and enhance your avatars into in the virtual worlds with the same personality that you may carry in the physical world, or vice versa. You may want to take a digital world personality into the physical world. So again, a pretty interesting example from Balenciaga there. Moving on, recently, I don't know if you guys checked out these games. I did, quite interesting. So Nike launched Nike Land in Roblox. It is a bunch of mini games that you could play, but I think the thinking behind that is for Nike to kind of own the sports as a category. I mean, as you kind of play, you can own different sneakers and things like that. So again, it's a lot to do with immersive experiences, having Nike branding within it as a great experience, but over time, it seeps into having a lot of brand favorability for the people who are kind of playing or spending a lot of time in these new worlds. So those were some good examples that we see out there. And there's a lot that we've kind of learned from them. So before I go into the case study of Denso, I wanted to introduce Denso Gaming to you. Now, I mean, the way we
Hey, Sunil, sorry to interrupt. We do need to rush it along a little bit here.
Okay, all good.
So we really got probably 2 minutes.
Okay, all good. Cheers. So what we did was with Denso Gaming, we've actually launched, this very recently, and we've made some serious investments in a lot of companies that are tending towards game studios, developing games or VR, NFTs, and even metaverses like, real virtual events. And that's the case study which I wanted to cover today. So recently we did the Tokyo Game Show, which was completely done in the virtual reality experience. In 2019, it was an on-ground event, but due to pandemic, it moved online into the internet. But when Denso co-hosted that in 2021, we actually ran the entire thing in virtual reality, starting from scratch with one of our invested partners called Amber. And what you see here is all these on-ground real spaces were created for the virtual experience. Visitors could participate in this experience, they could communicate to each other, and we also had booths for the sponsors to show some original VR experience to the visitors. So here's a pretty good video that I wanted to share with you, to just kind of make this a reality, and just a few stats to show it was quite effective. So what we saw was almost 200K plus visitors on this virtual reality piece. They're spending almost half an hour on it, and they used almost all of them used the VR devices. The big win that we thought was we championed the blueprint for VR events and the metaverse design capabilities using the Tokyo Game Show. So here's a quick video to give you a sense of what it really looked like. So hope you enjoyed that, and that was all built from scratch for the Tokyo Game Show. And just final takeaways for this, metaverse is the future state of the internet. Remember the 7 Ps. We feel gaming is the highway to the metaverse and a nice test bed for brands as of today. When you're doing any experience there, consider the user journey through physical, digital, and virtual experience, and try and be authentic. And finally, now is the time to adopt an omni-reality mindset. And if nothing, Denso are here to help, and hope you enjoyed that.
Thanks very much, Sunil. That was brilliant. Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to have time for Q&As, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thanks. Right. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Right, we've just got one last section here. There's obviously a lot to get through. So we're very excited that we've got some amazing technology coming out of Israel, which is Tetavi, who've just raised $20 million to build out their metaverse offering, which brings together the worlds of music, TV, film, and sports. To tell us about that, here is the CEO of Tetavi. Joining us from Israel is Gilad Talmon. So over to you, Gilad.
Hi, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. With your permission, I will put on presentation, and I hope you can see my screen now. And what I wanted
we can see.
Oh, thank you very much. So a few words about Tetavi, and then I want to share kind of how we see the metaverse, but I'll be brief because we pretty much agree with all of the previous speakers. And then I would like to share a use case that we did with the Israeli president, actually almost 2 years ago, and how it then impacted the way that we see the metaverse and how it impacted the way that we kept on developing our platform. So Tetavi is essentially a gateway into the metaverse. What we do is we enable pretty much anyone, professionals and consumers, to create their own digital twins that can be ported into the metaverse. And the digital twins are volumetric video. It means that it's your actual self doing your actual movements. And we'll show what that looks like in a short while. And about the metaverse, so our perception of the metaverse, and I'll be really, really brief about it, is kind of link between the physical world and digital worlds that moves from the physical world through augmented reality, through flat screen 3D environments, persistent 3D environments, to full VR. And the beautiful thing about the metaverse as we see it is that an asset can live in all of these and have different manifestations in the different kind of sections of the metaverse. And the connectivity between the metaverses and the connectivity between the various applications, that's what creates the real magic. That's what creates the engagement of the content with the audiences. And this is kind of how we present it when we show it. You can create, think about kind of a music performance. You can have a physical performance, an artist performance on tour, and then you can have, for the audience that can't attend, because there's a limited amount of tickets that you can sell, you can create a Travis Scott type experience in Epic, or Lil Nas type experience that they did in Roblox. And then promoting it, you can take segments of it and put it in augmented reality and make kind of a scavenger hunt, or put it location-based. You can then have experiences out of it that are linked to e-commerce and are linked to sponsors. You can create the special effects videos. I think that the Travis Scott video of the event was watched by, last time that I checked, more than 180 million people. So this really takes the advantage of the multi-manifestation of this metaverse environment to engage with different audiences in different ways, but still in all of them create, again, this sense of presence that increases the level of engagement and the level of kind of commitment by the users. And I think that we saw that really nicely when we did the president campaign. And what happened was, it was the beginning of COVID, and Israel was going into kind of a light quarantine where you couldn't go from one house to another. And the president, the former president of Israel, used to every Independence Day host people in his house for Independence Day. And that wasn't possible. So the office of the president turned to us and asked if we can help them kind of port the president into the house of the people or anybody's house. And I'll show you a short video and then we'll speak about the statistics. This is what the experience looked like. And again, this was like technology 2 years back. So we did this with partners in Wall and Omnivore. And we did the capture, and then this is what the delivery looks like. And the president gave his blessing, and people could consume it with their mobile phones. It was a web experience. You didn't need to download an application or anything. And as you can see, the camera is moving around. And again, I apologize, compression, the video, as you can imagine, was in higher quality. But the way that you can move around the president and then just stand around the president and take your own picture creates this sense of presence as if he's really there. And the level of engagement that we got from audiences to this type of experience, it was amazing. It was the first experience that the head of state did, which was fun to do. But it also we got more than 250 unique views within, it was up for about 2.5 days. And what surprised us is that, predominantly most of the views were from Israel, but it wasn't only from Israel. We had about 20% come from the US, Europe, and Asia. It got large PR coverage, but mainly it got a lot of people. I think they got several tens of thousands of families that took their picture with the president and then uploaded it into their social channels and into their into the office of the president's social channel. So it created a lot of engagement with a lot of kind of personalized commitment or emotional commitment by the audience, which we thought was really compelling. And then how it translates to more, let's say, commercialized aspects. We did this with a partner of ours, with Adways and with Crescent Studios in Japan. And this is how a demonstration of how music can interact across the different aspects of the metaverse with the fan base, with the audience, and how you can take volumetric video and then import the same assets to AR with special effects, then have the audience bring themselves in and create their own kind of version of the dance or the clip or the music, and enjoy the experience in a very immersive way when they are part of it, when it comes into their environment. They can create it, they can control some of the special effects, they can control the environment, and again, they can put themselves in. They can create these experiences pretty much everywhere in the environment, and they can also bridge these experiences into a full metaverse type VR or flat screen 3D show. And this was again another demonstration that we did to showcase what kind of the potential of the metaverse is as far as engagement goes. And what we feel is would be the next main drive of kind of the metaverse environment and the way that brands interact with it is really when user-generated content starts coming in. Because when we're looking at the metaverse world, and I think that again, colleagues from Denso and from Epic and from other brands spoke before me on how they create content. And the professional content of the immersive environment is becoming more prolific, and it's kind of becoming better and better. But what will really drive metaverse into the mainstream is the capability of creating user-generated content. And creating user-generated content that takes advantage of the capabilities of 3D to also interact with professional content. And this is what we're trying to do in order to enhance the connection between brands and their audiences in a way that is more immersive, is more meaningful to the audience, and thus creates more engagement over a long period of time and more emotional commitment. That is how we see the strength of the metaverse, and again, specifically what we can contribute to it. Thank you. Thank you very
Brilliant.
much.
Well, look, Gilad, thank you very much for that. And thank you to all of our speakers today. Sorry, we overran a little bit at the end there, but I'm, you know, lots of people stayed on to the very end. So there's lots to discuss. If you want to contact any of our speakers, you can write to me and I can put you in touch. I'm Mark from the Lean Company, and my email is mark, M-A-R-K, at bemorelean.co, which is BEMORELEAN.co. We'll be doing more webinars starting early next year, so we hope to see you then. And thanks again to all of our speakers and panelists, and thanks to all of you for joining. And finally, yes, sorry we couldn't answer all the questions. There's just so much to get on with. Thank you, everyone. Bye.